I do too. It's a great day to be me because I am not Donald Trump. That guy has got a lot of problems. First of all, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal just won't kill itself. And we might have a hint why Trump hasn't been that eager to release those files, because according to Senator Dick Durbin, back in March, 1,000 FBI agents were put on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records and instructed to flag any documents that mentioned Donald Trump. That is a suspiciously Herculean effort. Okay? All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't hide who Dumpty humped with his friend.
It takes something remarkable to put Stephen Colbert and Jasmine Crockett in the same spotlight, and Donald Trump manages it almost daily, turning the Oval Office into part reality show, part rally, and part casino, while Colbert delivers sharp satire. Crockett unleashes fiery critique, and together they expose every flaw hidden beneath his glittering facade.
The president was buddies with a pedophile. On Friday, the Wall Street Journal dropped an absolute bombshell. They are reporting that in 2003, Trump sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday that was sexually suggestive. Yeah, it's the most inappropriate birthday gift since Carvel debuted Fudgy the Hung Like a Whale.
Colbert quickly turns Trump's presidency into an ongoing joke, portraying him as someone who treated the Constitution like a sales pitch and imagined the Founding Fathers as contestants on The Apprentice. Each segment drives home that his leadership feels more like improv comedy than real governance minus the wit. Trump's press conferences become blooper reels, filled with answers so awkward they land like failed punchlines no audience would laugh at.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's letter featured several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with heavy marker. In the drawing, a pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. Do you know what that means? That means Donald Trump has drawn pubic hair on every executive order.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Unlike satire, Jasmine Crockett takes a direct approach, cutting into Trump's image with sharp, lawyer-like precision. She lays out his contradictions as if presenting them to a jury, showing how he feeds on chaos and uses noise to cover the emptiness where real substance should be. Her critique paints him not as a powerful leader, but as someone terrified of fading away, clinging to outrage like a drowning man grabbing at driftwood.
We know that there are even young ladies that said that they were sexually abused and or sexually assaulted. We know that this is someone who has been found liable of sexual abuse by a jury of his peers. So, I mean, this is also a guy who seemingly doesn't really necessarily care if somebody engages in these types of activities. So I know he's got something to hide. That's all.
Colbert dives into Trump's fixation on image, mocking how he turns every moment into a photo op, from holding a Bible upside down to bragging about imaginary crowd sizes. He makes it clear Trump isn't chasing legacy. His legacy is already set as the punchline of America's longest running joke. Colbert's roast doesn't just land its sticks, showing how Trump's attempts at grandeur inevitably crumble into slapstick.
As strange as that sounds, the typewritten part of the letter is even stranger because it appears to be sort of a short, creepy screenplay between Trump and Epstein that goes, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey.
Crockett adds the political punch, exposing Trump's empty promises and his act as a savior who delivers little more than slogans and hashtags. Behind every big announcement lies a failed policy, an unfinished wall, or another lawsuit she makes it clear he doesn't lead with vision, but with sheer volume, silencing critics not through proof, but by shouting louder, a trick that might energize rallies, but won't earn a place in history.
On, say, getting the Epstein files. Like, we know that y'all know how to move, clearly, because y'all done called in the FBI and everybody else trying to go after not pedophiles, right? Because we know that seemingly the commander-in-chief has a soft spot for pedophiles, because next thing you know, we know that Ms. Maxwell was transferred to a cushier existence in a federal system, penitentiary system, right? But now you want to go after lawfully elected people whose constituents are not upset with them at all.
Colbert shifts to Trump's obsession with chaos, joking that he's the only president who could turn a national crisis into a disastrous open mic night. He ridicules Trump's rambling speeches, comparing them to a GPS stuck on recalculate, endlessly circling without ever arriving. Colbert roasts not just the words, but the delivery, the awkward pauses, the exaggerated gestures, the buildup that promises insight but ends in nonsense. Crockett takes it further, stripping away the illusion of strength by showing him as fragile, addicted to praise, and allergic to accountability. For her, his biggest weakness isn't the mistakes themselves, but his refusal to admit them, a man obsessed with winning who can never face a loss.
Think of it, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Wow. That is not only weird and creepy, that is pure absurdist dialogue.
Colbert and Crockett hit Trump from both angles. Colbert makes him look ridiculous, while Crockett shows how dangerous he can be. Together, they deliver a sharp one to punch. Colbert paints him as the worst improviser alive, mistaking off the cuff riffs for leadership, while Crockett cast him the courtroom villain who thrives only when chaos keeps people from noticing the details. The roast reveals his presidency not as strength, but as a tired gag dragged out too long. Colbert drives it home, showing that a man can cover himself in gold and still have nothing to offer, making Trump look less like a titan and more like someone who wandered into a Vegas buffet and never found the exit.
Plus, now a lot of other stuff from Trump's creepy past is resurfacing, like this clip of Trump on the Howard Stern show back in 2006.
Do you think you could now be banging 24-year-olds?
Oh, absolutely. I have no trouble.
Would you do it?
I have no problem.
Yeah, do you have an age limit, or would you?
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be
the
like
upper bracket,
Congressman Foley with 12-year-olds.
Wow. That is not a great answer. That's one of those questions where you don't want to leave any ambiguity. So, would you have sex with an animal? Certainly not a horse.
Crockett goes after Trump's constant need to play the victim, pointing out how a man who brags about strength spends so much time whining about unfairness. She roasts him as the president who weaponized grievance, turning every critique into a persecution fantasy. His brand, she argues, isn't about solutions, but about sulking an endless pity party where he's always the guest of honor. Colbert twists the knife by mocking his reliance on catchphrases, comparing his speeches to a bad sitcom rerun with predictable lines, poor timing, and no laugh track. He shows how Trump repeats the same phrases as if saying them often enough could make them true. Crockett then targets his fragile ego, noting how he lashed out at criticism like a schoolyard bully and uses Twitter as a running diary of complaints. She skewers his obsession with late-night jokes, acting as if the hardest part of being president was enduring punchlines. In the end, she exposes the core contradiction of a man who claims strength but crumbles without applause, leaving behind a legacy defined not by leadership, but by insecurity.
To that, I know that there's been some conversations about what's going on in LA, and they want to say that it's riots because they didn't want people to keep talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever other drama was popping off between the president and his little friend. So they wanted to change the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our benefit. But let me tell you something. If they cared about making sure we were going to be fiscally responsible, they would tell the American people that it cost them $134 million to send the National Guard to LA for the quote-unquote riots that the governor didn't ask for, nor did the mayor of LA ask for.
Colbert tears down Trump's myth, turning his persona into a farce that collapses under its own weight, while Crockett strips away his narrative with sharp precision, leaving only contradictions behind. What's left is not a leader who inspires respect, but a showman hooked on spectacle, desperate for approval, and blind to self-reflection. The roast sticks because it captures everything about his presidency: the chaos, the theatrics, the fragility, and the constant hunger for attention. In the end, the image is clear. Trump isn't remembered as the strong leader he claims to be, but as a reality TV president stuck in reruns, a fragile ego wrapped in gold, and a warning of what happens when a nation confuses noise with leadership.
Even MAGA is demanding answers. 11 congressional Republicans have said they will join Democrats to vote to release the Epstein files. That would be a majority of Congress. So, in response, today, Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House until September to block a vote on the Epstein files. It's a common parliamentary maneuver known as You cannot blame Trump and his allies for being scared here, because the more we know about Trump's relationship with Epstein, the more we wish we didn't.
Colbert's brilliance lies in never letting Trump slip away from the absurdity. He revisits the rallies, painting them as part rock concert, part group therapy, and completely embarrassing. He ridicules the endless repetition, the same lines, the same insults, the same staged pauses performed to crowds that cheer as if hearing it all for the first time. To Colbert, it proves Trump doesn't inspire loyalty. He recycles it, feeding supporters not fresh ideas but recycled slogans. Crockett then drives the point home, showing how the cost is deeper. Trump doesn't build unity, he builds dependency, fostering a fan base that cheers not for accomplishments, but for his constant demand for applause.
In this story is that soon we may be able to see Trump's name in those files for ourselves, because last night, in defiance of the president with a Republican majority, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena all documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case in a vote of 8-2, as in...
Colbert digs into Trump's fixation with size, not just crowds, but ratings, polls, and numbers, mocking how he measures success like a teenager chasing YouTube clout. He paints Trump as a man glued to his phone, refreshing polls like a gambler, pulling a slot machine lever, each number holding the power to wreck his mood. It's a humiliating image of the so-called leader of the free world, reduced to seeking real-time approval from strangers. Crockett follows by dismantling his endless attempts to rewrite reality, reminding everyone that no matter how often he tries to twist it, reality always wins. His legacy isn't resilience, it's denial on repeat until it turns into parody.
Trump flew on Epstein's plane at least 7 times. Now, that doesn't mean he did anything illegal, but it's not a great look when you fly on the pedophile's plane enough times to earn diamond pervert status. Don't go in the lounge. Don't use the lounge. Some of his allies are actually defending those trips. Tennessee representative and cover star of Tell Your Mom I'm Doing Great magazine.
Colbert spins Trump's denial into pure comedy, joking about his talent for rewriting history in the same breath, as if gaslighting were a presidential superpower. He mocks the interviews where every rambling answer turns into self-praise. Every story ends with Trump as the hero, and every failure somehow lands on someone else. It paints a devastating picture of a man so allergic to accountability that he's turned his mistakes into bedtime stories. Crockett then sharpens the attack, exposing the hypocrisy of a man who claims to fight for the working class while living in gilded towers, who rails against elites while dining with billionaires in what feels like a costume party for the rich. With brutal clarity, she reveals the con. Trump doesn't represent the people, he exploits them, repackaging their anger as his product and selling it back to them as loyalty.
Big deal about how he broke off the relationship with Jeffrey Epstein a long time ago, but according to Epstein's brother Mark Epstein, Jeffrey said he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook. Wow! That's extraordinary. Amazing. Jeffrey Epstein breaking it off with you because you're a crook is like walking into an intervention organized by Rudy Giuliani.
Colbert leans into the image of Trump as a con man, less president and more carnival barker, mocking the endless promises that never materialize. He points out that Trump's real accomplishment isn't policy, but branding turning grievance into a franchise, outrage into a subscription, and the country into his audience. The punchline is sharp. Trump doesn't run America, he runs a merch table. Crockett closes like a prosecutor, making it clear his presidency is a warning, not a success. His obsession with image, his love of chaos, his refusal to accept responsibility, these aren't strengths, they're weaknesses. She doesn't just roast him as incompetent, she brands him unfit, a leader who confuses performance with leadership, applause with progress, and noise with power. Together, Colbert's humor strips him of dignity, while Crockett's precision strips him of legitimacy, leaving a portrait so humiliating it offers no defense. Trump isn't the strongman he pretends to be, he's the punchline, the defendant, and the cautionary tale. In the end, Colbert reduces him to a tired gag, and Crockett leaves him guilty in the court of history. The punchline writes itself. Trump wanted to be remembered as America's greatest president, but thanks to Colbert and Crockett, he's remembered instead as a desperate showman who mistook applause for achievement, grievance for leadership, and chaos for greatness.